one day I was just like, I was on the toilet and it came to me. I was
Best
like,
place.
never made. Kind of like the sound of that. So I like yelled for my wife. I was like, babe.
Thank you for being a pal.
Hey pals, welcome back to another episode of Pen Tool Pals. My name is Canvas Cam from Canvas Design Company.
And I'm Cole from Co-op Design. Thanks so much for joining us again on week 12 of Pen Tool Pals. Cam, how's your week been, dude?
It's been awesome. Gotten a lot of stuff done. Went to Disneyland, got a haircut, got my peepers
good,
checked.
Man. Sweet.
Yeah, I have a new setup, green screen and camera. So now I'm actually looking directly at you and not down at the camera.
Yeah.
Every
week by week, we're slowly getting a little bit more professional.
Cole, how was your week, man?
My week was good. I have a couple products on my desk that I've been really excited about. I've been able to have more of a brand packages that I've been offering. So there's been like, rather than just one-off designs, I've been doing like 3 to 5 for a specific brand or client. And That's been allowed me to like get in the groove a little bit more and dive deep into their brand identity and have more of a brand line for their clothing, for apparel or whatever it may be. So I'm super stoked for some of this new work that I'm going to share with you guys, and excited for more projects to come.
Oh yeah.
Super excited for this week's episode. Cam, you want to tell us a little bit more about who's coming on and how did you score that one?
I surprise myself sometimes with how I can network. Our guest today is a rock star. Little to no introduction. Today we have NeverMade on, Francisco Reyes Jr. Wow, I'm stoked. We started following each other. I followed him for a long time, and he started following me, and we kind of just chatted. Again, I'm saying the same story because that's just how online marketing and networking goes. But Francisco has been everywhere in the design world. He's worked for Obey. He's collabed with just about everybody. He just did a collab with Violent Gentlemen. They just dropped a huge release of jerseys and all that stuff. He works for Obey. Like, he's one of their lead designers, which is crazy. He's worked with the Hundreds, Red Bull, the Clippers, Disney, Zoomies. The list fucking goes on. This guy's
been everywhere.
A rock star. So
this is one of the heavy hitters within the graphic design world. We're super stoked to have him on.
Definitely.
This is one of the coolest things, is to be able to network and get these artists that we've looked up to for so long and be able to chat with them and talk to them about graphic design is like what this is all about. So super stoked to talk to Francisco and hear a bit more about his story.
Since we started this thing, I've had an idea of who I wanted to be on the podcast, and Francisco was definitely one of those people. I'm very excited to dive into more of his story, how he started working for Obey, and how he started connecting with these different artists like Benny Gold, and like I said, the list goes on. So today is a jam-packed episode, and I cannot wait to get him on. All right, guys, and without further ado, Francisco Reyes Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, Francisco Reyes Jr.
What's up, motherfuckers?
What's up, dude? How you doing today?
Chilling, man. Just posted up.
Hell yeah.
Relaxing
All cool. Just shooting some b-ball inside your garage.
Yep.
Dude, you have like the dream garage setup, in my opinion. Like, I've seen Mike Vallely's, and his is cool. It's got decked out with skateboards, but you have like your desk in there, your whole setup. You got posters and all that shit. I love it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Where are you based right now, Francisco?
What was that?
Where are you based out of right now?
Long Beach, LA. How about you guys?
You're not far from me.
Yeah.
I'm Southern California area, like Orange County.
Oh, okay.
Beach, Costa Mesa area.
Yeah. I'm in the butthole of California, Bakersfield.
Bakersfield? Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's chill sometimes, but there's a lot of racist assholes here, and it's kind of hard to deal with. But
my grandpa used to live out there, so he used to have a house with a big ass pool.
oh no shit.
So like the whole family would drive up there, like for example, like on a long weekend like this, and we'd all just chill. But dude, that drive is it's not even that far. It's just
Yeah. The thing about Bakersfield is like it's so close to everything. Say if I want to go to the beach, it's 2 hours away. If I want to go to the mountains, it's less than 2 hours away. But it's like even Vegas is like a almost 4 hour drive. It's like super quick. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. Every time I tell people I'm from Bakersfield, they're like, "I'm sorry." I went to
Yeah, at least we're not doing this in person.
I know. I went to Billings, Montana. And I went downtown, and the first bar that I went to, they were playing Streets of Bakersfield, and they were all like getting into it and all that stuff. And then they're like, "Oh, where are you from? You don't look like you're from here." I was like, oddly enough, Bakersfield, and they're singing Streets of Bakersfield, and then they say, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "What the fuck? You're playing the song."
Well, at least you could say Corn's from Bakersfield.
Yeah. That's all we got.
Yeah.
Did Cam tell you about drinking on the episode?
Bruh.
Yeah.
There we go. Cheers to you, man. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Tall boy?
Yep. Always tall boys.
There you go. What you drinking on?
Pacifico.
Nice.
Yeah, it's my favorite beer.
There you go. I'm drinking my favorite IPA, the General Sherman IPA. I don't do IPAs too often because your boy is about as thick as a brick, but yeah.
I'm a big boy, but yeah, I went through my craft beer phase, maybe 7 years ago. Like all I would drink was like Arrogant Bastards and shit. And but now I'm just like, ugh. All that stuff just bloats me so hard. Like I'll stick to whenever I go anywhere, I'm like, you got any Coors Light or anything light? Just because I like the taste of beer. I don't want the bloating, you know?
Yeah.
And it's weird now. There's like peanut butter flavored beers and stuff.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, man, like I'd rather eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and have a beer that tastes like beer, you know?
Fair enough. But if you want, we can kind of get into, off of PB&Js and beer and into some graphic design, because I think, we're super stoked to have you on and hear a bit more about your story.
First off, look at that tattoo.
Oh shit!
No way. That's our first pen pal. You got that because of the podcast, right?
Nah. Nah, dude, it's just like, and I use a trackpad. Like, I mean, I've always kind of just worked on a laptop.
Yeah.
So, this is my pen tool,
I
use a mouse too, but I cannot for the life of me use a fucking Wacom though. Or Wacom, whatever they call them.
I hear you.
Yeah, I used to use like the little trackpad. It had no screen on it. And I remember it was so hard to get the rhythm of it, but once I did, like it was chill. But now I just use an iPad Pro and just kind of use Procreate and stuff like that. But I never got the hang of the big Cintiq or the big Wacom tablets where like there's little knobs that you turn to. It's like, what the fuck? Like I've already trained my hands for like quick keys and stuff.
Exactly. I keep it old school.
Yeah.
And I have another super nerdy tattoo. I have Command S.
Oh, dope.
Right here, because it's like the golden rule. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep. That's like the first thing in college that they teach you is like save it, save everything, save every 10 minutes.
That's why I got it as a reminder.
Yeah, that's dope. I don't have any graphic design tattoos yet, because I have a lot, but I never thought about that.
Yeah, I have Helvetica tattooed above my kneecaps on my right kneecap. It's HELV, and on the other side it's ETICA. So
fuck yeah.
You put them together, it makes Helvetica.
There you go.
Dude.
Well, tell us a little bit more about how you got started, and did you was graphic design something you got into early on, or were you traditionally a drawer, or how did it all begin for you?
Well, I always grew up drawing, I was super into like X-Men cards and stuff, like comic books. I didn't like reading, but I liked the illustration. And I originally like wanted to be an animator because
Cool.
like in my high school I took every art class in high school. Uh and then I tried like a 3D like a 3D animation program class, and I was super into Toy Story, so I was like, dude, I want to do that. So I was like, I learned it was called Studio Strata 3D Max,
Oh
something like
shit.
that. And then I learned Flash, and then yeah, I basically took every computer class, and then I took Illustrator, Photoshop. Um, but yeah, I was always into logos and layout and stuff. Like even like when my dad used to take me and my brother to the movie rental place, and I would, if I didn't know what the movie was about, I didn't care because the cover looked sick. So
Yep.
I was
Yeah, I
always
know that's still
visual.
happening with everyone, like even purchasing a wine bottle or a beer bottle or something.
Yeah, no,
We're
yeah,
always
for sure.
looking at the labels.
Yeah, so it started like at a young age, and then I started messing around with MS Paint on my Hewlett Packard. um, and pretty much MS Paint is like the bare bones of Illustrator, like so I started creating like my favorite like skate logos and stuff. Um, and then around that time is when I took that Illustrator class. I was like, oh shit. I was like, this is how
Yeah.
it's done. So yeah, I got super into it. I graduated high school, and I originally signed up like for college to be an animator, but then a friend of mine, he was like, dude, that shit is fucking hard. I don't think you have the patience for that. He was like, you should do graphic design. And I was like, I think you're right. And then
Yeah.
yeah, I called and I was like, can I switch my major to graphic design? They're like, sure. You just gotta fucking sign a new thingy or whatever. So yeah, that was it. And I've been doing it. So all this was happening. I'm 36. Uh I started like in like 1999.
Okay.
I was like 17. Uh yeah, 99. Yeah, so I've got some years under my belt.
Very cool.
Well, wait. First, where'd you go to college?
That's none of your business.
Oh,
I don't give that school any love. So
really?
I was not because I was writing down some stuff, just kind of doing a little deep dive on you. Most of the information I already knew, but I realized that your college wasn't in there, especially in your bio on your website, and now I know why.
yeah, I don't.
That
I
was
don't
it.
believe
I
in
was
You
gonna
know,
bullshit.
put
man.
that down.
Funny story though, because like I was at this bar one time, and this lady was there, and she was talking to me, and I thought she was hitting on me. But she was married or whatever, and I was still single at the time. So she's like, "What do you do?" That's like the LA question, like, "What do you
Mhm.
do?" uh, I was like, "I'm a graphic designer." She's like, "Oh, what school did you go to?" And I told her. She's like, "Oh my god, I work there." And I was like, "Oh, sick." She's like, "Yeah, like I'm like a recruiter or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, that's dope." She was like, "Oh, it'd be cool like to do a write up on you because I told her who I worked for and all this
Mhm.
Yeah.
stuff that I did." She's like, "Oh my god, like you're a success story. Like, can we feature you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess." So she got my number, and then she hit me up, and then she gave my number to like the head of the school or something.
Oh shit.
And this guy calls me. He's like, "Hi, can I speak to Francisco?" And I was like, "This is him." I was like, and he was like, oh, I'm the blah 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 from blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He's like, I have this student that is amazing, and I think you should hire him. And I was like, excuse me?
What?
And he was like,
That's
I
not.
was like, where I work, I'm not in charge of that. So
Yeah.
you'd have to email them. He was like, well, can you give me that email? I was like, it's on their
No.
website, dude.
Yeah,
Like, he was
exactly.
such a dick. And I was just like, and he was like upset with me because I was being a dick, but I was just like, the balls on some people is
Yeah, no shit.
crazy.
So was it this experience that made you not like school?
So, so
Yeah.
then the girl hit me up and she was like, can you come in and, we want to do like a whole thing with you and like, feature you. We want to do like a seminar. Like we want to, we really want to highlight you as a success story. I was like, all right, cool. Well, how much are you going to pay me? And she was like, what? And I was like, you motherfuckers put me in debt. Like, you better start getting money back.
Pay me back. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she was like, wait, you charge? And I was like, okay.
What kind of question is that?
Yeah.
Time is money, baby.
Was like, what was that?
So time is money, baby. Like,
especially if I have to like, take time out of my day and stuff. Like,
yeah.
And she was just like in shock that I was just like, well, you bet I need to get paid. And she was just like, no, we're not doing all that. And I was like,
yeah, exactly.
And so that's those two reasons are the reasons why I don't give that school any love.
I totally understand. It's like you're basically doing a seminar. Why wouldn't you get paid to do a seminar?
It's funny because it's also backwards. Like if they wouldn't have given you that experience, you probably would have went on and talked about where you went to college and like, just whatever. But in turn, they wanted you to talk about the college.
Yeah.
Turned you off so much, and now you're like, fuck that place.
And your boy's still not getting hired. So
you and your student.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You want to talk to us a little bit about NeverMade and how that whole started, and maybe even the progression of the name and backstory, like
No, of course. So when I started like creating like my own art and stuff, I didn't want to put it out under my name. So I was following a couple of designers that had like design aliases. And I really like that. And of course Shepard is just like his like design alias is Obey. So I was like, okay, I want to have something like that. So, but at first, like, it was just like I would just put stuff out under the name Cisco. I made like a little icon logo that I would put on everything. And then I came up with the name Dream Digital, which is what is like the first iteration of this journey. And I did that for a long time. And I had this sticker that I made that said Dream Digital. And you know how people put like established, like in the year or whatever. I always thought it looked corny when it was like in
the year of or like
year off. Or
yeah, of course.
So I was like, what can I put? Like, because I just needed something to flank like the lockup, the typography. And so I put like never established because I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Like,
all right.
It's like one, it's like anti-establishment, and two, it's like like don't put a cap on yourself. Like, do not establish yourself in one thing. Like, always progress. So then, I was Dream Digital for like a hot minute, and then I put that sticker outside at work. And for people that don't know, I work at creative director at Studio Number One, which is Shepard Ferry's design agency. And he saw my sticker. He's like, hey, that's your Dream Digital sticker out there, huh? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I really like that never established part. He's like, drop the Dream Digital and just use that. I was like, yes, sir. Like, He was like, it just sounds a lot cooler. I was like, fuck. I was like, yeah, I'm down. Like, he's right. So then I developed like a logo for Never Established, and I Googled like Never Established to see if it was like taken or anything. There was nothing, and this is before I knew about uspto.gov. So I just did like the easy, like I checked Instagram, I checked websites, and I couldn't find anything that anybody had that taken that name. So I just used it, and then there's a clothing company that had the trademark on Never Established,
Of course.
but they don't use it as their name. It's just something they have trademark that they use in some of their designs. And I was like, oh shit. And I got my first cease and desist, they sent me this thing, and they built like a case. They had like screenshots from my Instagram at all this stuff, and they're like, because you work in a similar industry, we believe that your intent was malicious because you should know about us.
Okay.
I was like, I don't even know who the fuck you are.
Yeah, exactly.
So luckily at work we have a lawyer that kind of does all that copywriting stuff for Shepherd and stuff.
Cool.
And I told her, I was like, yo, I got this letter. I was like, what the fuck do I do? She was like, well, do you want to fight it, or do you want to just relinquish? I was like, yes. I was like, get these people out of my hair. I don't know what to do. She was like, I'll write you a response and you'll be fine. And I was like, all right, cool. So at that time I had already gotten some traction with Never Established. So I was like, dang, I got to come up with a new name, So I dropped the Never Established, but I was like, I need to come up with a name that either has the word established in it or the word never, because I had already, like I said, picked up some traction with that name. And for like a week I was just like, never this or blah established or established blah. I just went through like a bunch of stuff, and one day I was just like, I was on the toilet and it came to me. I was like,
best place.
I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, NeverMade. I was like, kind of like the sound of that.
Yeah.
So I like yelled for my wife. I was like, babe. She comes to the door. She's like, what? I was like, I got it. She's like, what? I was like, NeverMade. She's like, I like that.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, and then
babe, I've never made a dump this beautiful.
No, I checked uspto.gov right away, and it wasn't taken.
Hell yeah.
And for people out there that don't know what uspto.gov is, it's the database for trademarks. So if you guys want to know if a name is taken or not, it's like you do a word search and it lets you know if a trademark is taken, or if the person died and it's like free game, or if it doesn't show up, it means it's never been trademarked.
And even further so, right? It'll tell you NeverMade has apparel, or even under apparel it says just for t-shirts, for sweatshirts, for hats. So and you're able.
Yeah, you have to say I want to start making like liquor or something. I got to trademark it under that liquor
categories. Yeah. Like I have Spruce's trademark for t-shirts, apparel, hoodies, graphics, hats, whatever. Yeah. But then someone else may have it for
liquor or something like that.
Well, yeah, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it's good to bring up these kind of things, especially on Pen Tool Pals, because a lot of our viewer base could be just beginner artists, intermediate artists, or even experienced artists that may not be super entailed with some of the business aspects of art. So if someone's just learning about the government website to try to figure out their trademarkings, like help someone tremendously.
Yeah, and it's super important to get these things out of the way too, so you don't have to
down the line do what you did, right? You build out Never Established and then had to go run backwards in circles into it. So
and a lot of people don't know about this, and this is like, this is what companies like LegalZoom do for you. They just go on that website and you're paying them as like they'll fill out the paperwork for you. You can do it yourself. It is expensive, so I think it was like, I don't even remember, like $2,000 to trademark it or something like that.
This
But
is stuff you got to do to keep
yeah,
your name. And
yeah.
I always try to tell people, like, either clients or young designers coming up, it's like you got to pay to play. And as
Mhm.
as cliche as that term is, it's like if you actually want to do something and take it seriously, you have to pay those expensive things. If you
Mhm.
don't, you're going to fail, because one, you obviously have commitment issues,
Mhm.
but you like you have to pay for these things if you want to stay out of trouble later on. If you take
Mhm.
the shortcut on anything, you're going to fail.
Yep.
Something's going to come up and derail you in those
Yep.
situations.
And I had to learn that the hard way, you
Yeah.
know. But luckily, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I think "Never Made" it sounds a lot better than "Never Established."
Oh, very
Yeah,
much.
I agree.
So I
Worked out in your
right
favor.
away I searched "Never Made" and it didn't even register. I was like, boom. I was like, I started the process right then and there, and I was like, I'm gonna own this name because I don't want this shit to happen to me
Yeah.
ever again, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I trademarked "Never Made." I changed my name to "Never Made," and like, people were like, that's actually cooler than "Never Established." So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, sick. And then I just kind of was started putting workout under that name. And then so a little bit after, well, I was like really early on the pin game. You know how it's like super saturated now, everybody wants to make pins.
Yeah.
I made one that was kind of a joke. And originally I was like, I'm just gonna make 100 of these because that was like the minimum order that you could do. I did this empty donut box, like a pink donut box. I think it might be just a LA thing because some people are just like, why is it pink? Like, what is
Yeah.
the significance of a pink donut box? It's just like, well, because it's donuts. Like here in LA, like all your donuts come in a pink box, you know? So I
Like
did
voodoo donuts and stuff.
I did a pink, an empty box, and I called it the box of shame because I fucking love donuts, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just like an empty box.
Hell yeah.
And Urban Outfitters saw that and they were like, hey, we want to do a feature on like pin makers and stuff. And I was like, cool. I was like, I'm not a pin maker, but I'm down to be in it.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, sweet. So it
I've
was
only made
me.
one pin, but sure.
Yeah, exactly. But that shit was it was like really popular, you know?
One pin to change your life.
Yeah, so put the pin out. It's sold out on my end, and then they called me and they were like, "Hey, we want to put a order in for these pins, and do you have any other pins?" And I was just like, "Shit, I don't." So I just sent them a line sheet, and of course, I don't know what the fuck a line sheet was.
Yeah.
So I sent them a line sheet, and they picked like two other designs that I made into pins. But yeah, it was me, Pin Trill, Valley Cruise, and like I think two other pin makers. I forgot who they were. But yeah, that's kind of what got me my foot into the retail end of things. I made that pin and it got really popular. And then soon after that, they were like, "Hey, we're doing an artist series of T-shirts. Do you want to do a?" They did two for each artist, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm down." And at that point, I hadn't done any T-shirts because I didn't want to be known as a T-shirt brand. I wanted to be known as NeverMade is Francisco Reyes Jr. and Francisco Reyes Jr. is NeverMade. It's like the same side to the coin, two sides of the same coin. And I did that by design because if I would have came out straight, like out the gate with just T-shirts and merch, like people would be like, "Oh, NeverMade's a clothing brand," But I was just doing, screen prints under the name NeverMade, and I think I did that long enough to where people were just like, "Oh, NeverMade is Francisco," and now it's like synonymous with each other, I made sure, and then when I got this opportunity to do an artist series, I was like, okay, this is the moment to do t-shirts as an artist series and not as a t-shirt brand, you know? So I did that, and they apparently they sold really well and they sold out quick. And then they were like, hey man, it's like, do you want to sell your brand at the stores? Like, this thing is, your stuff is popping off. And I was like, well, it's not necessarily a brand, but yeah, let's do it. So I
Keep
did.
tracking them, like, just to make sure you're like you're
Yeah,
getting across what you've always wanted to do, you know, like
exactly.
like,
Yeah. And the cool thing about the t-shirt, the artist series, they printed my bio like on the inside of the shirt. So like you would learn about the artist, you know.
Sick.
And I took that idea, and still to this day, like in the silk screened
neck print.
tag, it has my bio on there, you know. It
Sick.
talks
Very
about
cool.
who I am and shit. So but I don't even think people realize it. But I think when they discover it, they're like, dude, like some people are just like, I had no idea you had a bio like on your t-shirt. I'm like, yeah, well, because I want people to know that this isn't a brand, it's necessarily, you know.
Yeah.
And so then it just kind of snowballed from there. I did Agenda, and then I picked up Zoomies and Active Ride Shop there,
Cool.
and a couple other little like retailers. But I had never wanted to do Agenda because I had attended that show so many times, and there were so many like little brands that just looks sad, dude. Like these people are sitting there like with a rack of t-shirts, and they're just like at this little table, just
sitting
like,
there with nobody.
yeah, and they're on their phones, and I'm just like,
I was gonna say, because that's a successful first Agenda for you. I mean, you got picked up by 3 huge retailers.
yeah, dude, it was
crazy. I'm proud to say I was one of those sad sack of shit, sad Agenda, head down, fucking. But the only difference is that I actually like applied to Agenda during one of their contests, and they were asking for small apparel brands to like to go, you know, ask, you know, some sort of competition. You got to submit your artwork and your brand, whatever. So I got chosen out of like, you know, 1,000 participants or whatever to get a free booth at Agenda. But, you know, then you get to Agenda and you think that like shit's about to change your life, you know, like it's like I'm here and it's gonna do the work for you, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, sadly so wrong, like you just have everyone walking by you, you know, they might check out your stuff and like say hi and whatever, but like I definitely wasn't picking up, you know, Active, Ride Shop, and Urban Outfitters for.
You have to go into those things with people knowing who you are, you know. It's like even before, you know, I would say I'm getting a lot more people know who I am now opposed to even last year or the year before. But that's like if I were to go to one of these like big trade shows and have shirts, I could have the coolest looking shit, but if nobody knows who you are, you're not going to move inventory. And so it's like, it's cool that you got to go in there, you got invited and all that stuff, but people already knew NeverMade at this thing. So
they usually have a list that they're like literally going to seek out at the show and start getting orders from
even like Designer Con. Like I didn't get to go to the last one before like the pandemic and stuff like that. I almost did, but it was, I had a plan. If I'm gonna go, I'm gonna hit Lincoln, Draplin, you know, and a few other like small, I think Invisible Creature was there. I already had it mapped out who I was going to go see. You know, my like, I was like focused. I'm not going to see these people or this one. I'm just going to go wait in line. I'm going to go see these people. And that's how a lot of these people go to these shows.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I've done Designer Con too. And, you know, it was kind of like that, like for me too, like the first time. But the reason why I said yes to Agenda was because they started this area called the Enclave, and it was a row of 10 booths. They're all facing each other, and they gave you 8-foot white walls, like you had your own little thing, right? I wasn't sitting at one of those little like tables, like, you know,
like
if it was like that, I wouldn't have done it. Because I was like, I can't tell my story with a shit booth like that, you know? Like, people need to see that it's an art driven brand, you know. So
Yeah.
they gave us 8-foot walls, and like they encouraged her, like, yo, like, if do your shit, like make it look cool, because that's what that, like, the Enclave was for emerging like brands, like cool brands, you know. So they gave me a booth in there, and I was able to put all my prints up, and
Very cool.
I had a rack of t-shirts, and like just made it look like a gallery. And that's what brought people in. They're just like, whoa, what the hell? Like, this is sick, you know?
Yeah.
And so every year after that, I was always just trying to outdo myself. And then I did Complex Con. I was the first brand to sign up for Complex Con when they first announced it. I jumped on it right away because I knew that this shit was gonna pop off. And my buddy, the guy that puts it together, his name's Neil. The day of the show, he came to me. He was like, "Hey man, I just want to say thank you." I was like, "For what?"
Yeah.
You know, he was like, "You were the first brand. Nobody wanted to sign up. They're like, you were the first one." I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
It's like, people don't know what this is. Like, this is something completely new. Like, you know. And he was like, "And I just want to, give you props, not props, but just say thank you for believing in this project." And I was like, "Of course." And him and I we're good friends now. Like, we'll go have lunch and stuff. And I'm doing Complex Land, which is like their digital version that they did because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
They're doing it again this year, and I'm doing my first NFT with them.
Cool.
So
Nice.
I'm getting into that game.
It's a very, very interesting and confusing game, NFTs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy that you're getting into that.
Yeah, so they're gonna have a whole like NFT gallery, and he was like, "You want to get on this?" I was like, "Yes." I was like, "This is like the perfect moment to get into NFTs, because I've looked into it, and there's a bunch of garbage on these NFT sites." I'm like, and you're kind of gonna get lost in the shuffle, you know. So I was like, okay, and well, now like I'll be up on one of these higher end NFT sites, and in a place where there's going to be a lot of eyeballs. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, now I'm down for it. But I had talked to like Bobby Hundreds about it. Like, we had a whole meeting about it. He was like, "Dude, you're perfect."
Just drop the name. Just
sorry.
Bobby Hundreds. Okay.
These are my friends.
I'm just casually talking.
And the cool thing about going back to agenda, Bobby came to my booth, and he was just like, I did this my booth that year. Cole, you've been to Chain Reaction, right, in Anaheim?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been there too.
You know how they have all the band shirts are stapled to the wall?
Yeah.
I did that to my booth with
no shit.
And like, it's kind of serves as insulation, and so I bought this foam that so it looks like there's like years of t-shirts like built up under there.
Yeah.
So I stapled the foam onto the wall, and then I stapled all my shirts
Nice.
that I had, like, for that I wanted people to buy. That's how I was displaying my line. I need to have another beer. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
All right.
Cheers.
I drink fast. Just because I don't like my drinks to get cold. I
feel that. My IPA is like not warm, but it's not as cold as it was.
You could drink IPAs though at a room temperature level.
Oh yeah.
So he came by my booth, and he was like, he walked up to the wall. Everybody walked up to the wall and was just like, "What the hell is behind there?" That's sick. It looked like a couch, like. He was like, "This is dope." He's like, "I really like your stuff." I was like, "Thanks." I was like, "It's a pleasure meeting you." I was like, "I tried to meet you last year, but he gets like, people like they punish him, dude. These fanboys just won't leave him alone, you know. So I kind of like, I saw him and I was like, oh shit, there's Bobby. I'm gonna go introduce myself. And that's always what I did. If I saw somebody kind of like big, I would just go and introduce myself.
Yeah.
Just to be like, get on their radar, not like be like, what's up, man? Like, let's work together, blah, blah. It's just like, just trying to make homies, you know?
That's smart.
Yeah. So, and I highly please young designers,
Yep.
do not punish your favorite designers.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
such a turn off. Like,
Oh, for sure.
just come, introduce yourself, say hi, and you know, move along.
Yeah,
because for me, it's just like the first thing people say, even on Instagram, like, and in person, they're just like, "What's up, man? I like your work. Let's collab." I'm like,
wait, who are you?
Yeah, I'm like, why the hell would I collab with you? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't collab with strangers, you know.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I learned that early on. I don't think I was ever overbearing. If I have been overbearing with someone, it's probably Benny Gold, because I've been a fan of his for so long. But I went to his shop party when he closed it down, and I just, you know, maybe he was familiar with me because I would tag him and shit all the time. But I met him and I was just like, hey man, it's very nice to meet you. I just want to come up here and show my support. Like, your brand is really what made me know I wanted to do graphic design and design apparel and stuff. And I was super chill about it. I was like, I don't want to be like in your hair, like all this stuff. Later on in the night, he came up to me and was like, hey man, you having fun? Like, you know, this and that. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. And we sat there for like probably 15 minutes while hundreds of people are around us. And it's stuff like that, to where it's like, if you want to earn respect in this industry, don't mark out for people. Don't be like, hey, you know, I'm a huge fan of your work. You know, let's collab, because one, you're not as good as them. You're not as known as that. As harsh as it sounds, like, you got to kind of take it down a few levels. But yeah, it's, if you're too overbearing and annoying, you're never gonna get you know, noticed by these people and gain friendships and all this stuff. Yeah. And you're never gonna have NeverMade on your podcast.
Small flex.
Well, yeah, I've been following both of you guys. I think Cole, I think I've been following you longer than I have Cam, but
thanks, man. I mean, this is a cool thing in general for me and Cam, especially, just to be able to chat with you. I mean, I followed you on my personal account even before I had an artist account for a while, and was introduced to you like years ago. And so being able to have this is like a very cool circle where, you know, we're able to chat, and it's just an awesome thing. So I know I've already said thank you, but thanks for joining.
Oh no, of course.
Talking on the show.
Like, I'm friends with Benny because of Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, he follows me and he hit me up. He was like, yo, I fuck with you. And I was just like, what the fuck?
That's crazy.
The same thing happened with Johnny Cupcakes. He came to my booth at the first Complex Con. Like, he came looking for me, and he was like, hey, what's up, man? I want to meet you. And I was like, the fuck, you want to meet me? You know?
Right.
And he was like the sweetest dude, man. He's so nice.
That's awesome.
And then Bobby came, and then that same day that he was at my booth, I got a DM from him. He was just like, yo, let's do something together. I'm just what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's crazy, the status thing, and also like I would say it's like self-confidence as a designer, right? Where like you have an outward appearance towards other artists, thinking that they're, you know, up at this certain degree. Meanwhile, you're growing a following yourself, and then people may think of you in a certain light as well. So then to have like both worlds collide, and then you meet these people,
that happened with freaking Draplin. Like,
Cam's like, I love Draplin, dude.
Yeah, dude, he's the best. Like, we're friends now. I did Adobe Max here in LA, and Clark Orr. Are you guys familiar with Clark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard his name. I can't say that
I follow his work. I have not talked to him personally.
Yeah, I had followed his stuff forever, because this fool had like done like stuff for Johnny, for like Rebel 8, you know, a lot of in his style is just so fucking good.
Yeah.
And he again, like, this is one thing I tell a lot of young designers is like, just don't worry about the likes, don't worry about the follows, like
Mhm.
because you never know who's watching your Instagram.
Totally.
You don't. Like, you know, and Clark liked my work through, like, because of Instagram, you know. So he was like, hey man, I think you'd be good for this Adobe Max show. Like, you want me to throw your name in the hat to see if like they're down to, it's like an invite only sort of thing to vend there.
Mhm.
I was like, wow. I was like, yeah, I'm super down for that. And I got on, and Draplin was one of the people vending there, and so was Clark. Him and his girl have a brand called Hellcat.
Mhm.
And Clark came over, and I was like, hey, I was like, you're friends with Draplin, right? He was just like, yeah, we're homies. I was like, can you introduce me to him? You know, I was like, I want to meet him.
Yeah.
He was just like, he's like, yeah, let's go to his booth. I was like, all right, fuck yeah. And this fool's booth is always popping
It's
off,
decked
like
out, wall
always
to wall.
pop. There, it's like he had a line, you know.
Mhm.
And I was just like, so we walked over, and I was standing there with Clark, and like I said, they're friends. And I was like, he looks busy. I go, we'll just like, I'll talk to him another day. And he was just like, we were standing there, and then Draplin is like, he looks over and he sees me standing next to Clark, and he goes, and he makes like a big old scene. He's like, you, you. And I'm like me? He's like, yeah, you. He's like, I see you. I like it. I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna come.
Sounds just like him.
You know, he's like, I'm gonna come to your booth later. I was like, oh shit. And then he's like,
yeah.
and everybody, he's like, that's my son Clark right there. Like, they're like super good friends. And so he comes to my booth later, and he's just like super nice, and he's just like, yeah, he's like, dude, I see your work on Instagram, and it's fucking awesome. And I was just like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
come on, you know? And this is what I mean. Like, you got to forge like organic relationships with people, you know,
For
and
sure.
not be a punisher. So he came by. It was like, it was fucking awesome. And then like the end of the show, at the end of the show, I'm outside waiting for my buddy to pull the van up, and then he sees me sitting out there, and he just like he sits next to me. He's like, so what's your story? And I was like, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
He was just like, how'd you get linked up with Mr. Ferry over there? And I was like, it's kind of a long story. He was just like, he's like, I don't have time to hear it right now. He's like, but like, we'll hang out. I was like, all right, cool.
Hell yeah.
So then I did Designer Con that year, and he was there, and I went up to say what's up to him, and then like he's like, let's walk the floor. So it's just like me walking with him, like, and
That's
I'm just
awesome.
like, what the hell? And like everybody is just like, Draplin, can I get a photo? Can I get a photo? He's like design celebrity. It's crazy.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
he's design god.
Yeah, I know.
100%.
I really would say that like he is the top tier celebrity of the design world. You know,
I know, it's crazy.
It's
and
really crazy.
it's because he's super sociable, man. Like
Yeah.
he's such a likable guy.
Yep.
It's like his work is amazing. It's easily copied.
Distinguishable.
Yeah,
copied.
it's easily copied, but never perfect because he's got that taste, he's got that flavor. But Draplin's design work wouldn't be where it is if he wasn't such a good guy, you know.
Yeah.
If you're willing, I don't know what you do want to talk about and don't want to talk about, but it'd be great to hear a bit of how you got introduced to Shep, and like maybe a little bit about the work relationship and how that was when you were first starting for him, and kind of where you're at now.
Yeah. So I was ultimate like Shepard Fairey fanboy. Like, I think a lot of us are. Were. I still am. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So I went to college with my buddy Ernesto, and he was working for Shepherd while we were in school. And he told me that who he works for, and I was just like, what? That's so sick. Like,
Yeah.
that's like the dream job right there, you know? And he would like give me stacks of Obey stickers like all the time. And I was just like, what the fuck? So I'd always bug him, be like, hey, you guys hiring any interns? He's just like, nah. And then I
Yeah.
was just like, all right, whatever.
All right,
So
cool.
you know, a lot of my early work was like vector portraits, like in Shep style, you know.
Yeah.
And I was, like I said, I was such a fanboy. And you know, I he had a show at the studio. We have a gallery downstairs called Subliminal Projects, and upstairs is studio number 1 and Obey Giant. So it's like 3 different companies in one building.
Yeah.
But he had a show called what was it called? Printed Matters. It was like in 2008 or 2009, around that time. And I went to that show like in the day, like it was like dead. So because I really wanted to take in like all his stuff, you know. And it was the first time I saw his work in person, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And that day, like we were leaving, and I'm a big believer in like manifesting, you know, manifesting your dreams and stuff, and just like putting it out in the universe, like,
Yeah.
and it will come back to you eventually. So that day, as corny as it sounds, like I looked up, I was with a girl I was dating at the time. I looked up at the sign. I was like, I'm gonna fucking work here one day. I was like, I don't know how.
Fuck yeah.
I don't know how or when that's gonna happen. I was like, but I'm gonna work here one day. And she was just like, yeah, I believe you. And I was just like, no, I'm serious. She was just like, okay. And uh, so yeah, fast forward to like a year later, my same buddy Ernesto, he was moving to Arizona, and he was working at Echo Park. He had already quit working with Shep, and he kind of started his own career, his own art career. And so he posted on Facebook one day. He was just like, yo, I'm moving to Arizona. I need somebody to help me clean out my garage, his studio.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, like, I was supposed to go out with my homies, but they all flaked on me. And so I go on Facebook and I see his post like within like a minute of him putting it up. And I text him because I still had his number on my phone, but I wasn't sure if it was still his number.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I was like, Ernesto. He was like, what's up? I was like, I'm down to come through and help you clean out your studio. He's like, all right, like pull up. So I go to Echo Park and we just kind of help clean up and pack shit up. And he's like, so how's work? And I was like, I work at a FYE making like $8 an hour, like minimum wage. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't find a design job for the life of me. He was just like, he's like, well, send me some of your stuff, like put together a little portfolio and I'll send it to Shepherd and we'll see what he says. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no way.
Yeah.
And then so that same night, like we're still working, and I was just like, hey, were you serious about that? He was just like, yeah. And I was like, and I started getting a little more excited. And then I was just like, I didn't want to get too excited.
Yeah.
I was finally like, hey, don't fuck with me, dude. Like, all right, can you really like do that? He was like, yes. He's like, put it together. I'll send it to him and see if we get you an internship or something. I was like, fuck. I was like, holy shit, this is that moment. So I go home and like I put together like all like my best vector portraits because I wanted to impress him, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And so I sent it to him. And then the following weekend, I go back to Ernesto's to help him finish cleaning the garage. And he's like, hey, let's go inside. I got to show you something. And I was just like, all right. He pulls his computer, pulls up an email, and Shep is like, your friend's rad, get him in touch. I was like,
yeah.
what the fuck? I was like, let me get a picture of that. And I took a photo. I still have it too. It's on,
nice.
it's in my Instagram. If you go all the way to the bottom, it's still there. And so I got I got an internship at student number one.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. And so I was like, holy shit. I was like, and then at that point, I've never even met Shepard. I met him on my first day of my internship, you know? So
Are you trying to hold back tears?
I'm sitting in the freaking lobby of the studio, and I hear his voice. I was like, oh fuck, that's him, dude. Because I used to watch every video. I watched every interview. I watched everything. Like, you know, I really studied his work.
Mm-hmm.
And he was super nice, you know, and I started interning, and I was just doing t-shirt graphics for Obey Clothing, because Obey Clothing is a client of student number one. Like, Shepard is still the creative director, but like the whole running a clothing brand is in Orange County. It's like he's got business partners that do that.
So they take care of like the marketing end and like
all that.
selling.
But we do all the graphics, because Shep is so like I need to see everything that goes out.
Yeah. I mean, that's a beautiful partnership. Like,
yeah,
you know, to be in charge of like your baby essentially,
Yep.
but then somebody else is doing like the selling and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, that's a good.
So I did that I interned for like 3 months, and I was just like, I would pinch myself every day. I was getting like $15 a day or something, and that was just like for gas, basically. Yeah. So then my internship ended, and like right before it ended, I was like, hey man, I would love to work here for you. Like, is there like any possibility of that happening? He was just like, sorry man, we're fully staffed. I was like, no, it's all good. Yeah. But I knew that having that on my resume was just like gonna fucking get me put my application anywhere 100%. At the top, you know, at the top of the pile. And then but one of the guys that worked there, like it was 3 of us, we would go to lunch together every day. And one of the guys that his name was Jake, he told us before he let the company know, he's like, I'm quitting. Like my girl got a job offer somewhere else out of state or something. And he's like, I'm gonna dip out and go with her. Like they went to like Kentucky or something like that.
Okay.
So then he finally put in his 2-week notice around the time when my internship ended. So it was like, and I had asked Shep, but he didn't know that Jake quit. He didn't know Jake was quitting. And then so
the stars aligned perfectly. So
seriously.
I'm telling you.
From the day that you were below the Studio One saying that you're going to work here, to the internship, to the guy quitting at the perfect time, trading hands, getting in there.
I'm telling you, dude, it was just like,
it's just meant to be.
Yeah. Like, so my internship ended, and I guess like around that time is when he put his 2-week notice in, and they called me back. They're like, hey, we need some help with some stuff. Can you come in and help like 2 days this week? And I was like, sure.
Yeah.
I went, and they're like, and we're actually paying you like for these days, you know? So I was like, whatever, it's my pleasure. And so I go, and sorry, I'm fucking super long-winded.
No, it's all good.
So I go and I work like that week, and then the last day, his assistant's like, hey, Shepard's gonna call you tonight, answer the phone. And I was like, what time? She was like he's gonna call you like at 9 or something. And I was like, all right. So dude, I go home, and like I'm sitting on my couch, and I lay my phone like, right where I could see it, and I'm just like, I'm watching TV, and I just keep looking down at the phone. I keep looking down on the phone. And 9 o'clock comes, and nothing. Like 9:30, nothing. 10, nothing. 10:30, nothing. Fool called me at 11.
Dang.
He's like, Cisco, Shepard. I was like, what's up? He was just like, so I don't know if you heard, but Jake is quitting. And I was like, oh. I was like, nah, I didn't know that. You know, I was just I was like, nah, I didn't know that. he was just like, yeah, well, I know you asked me like for a job. He's like, here's your shot. Like, do you want to fill his position? I was like, sure. He's like, you start Monday. I was like, all right, thanks.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Like, bye. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, holy shit. And I'm just like, no fucking way, dude. So I run inside and I tell my parents, and my parents like, they have no idea who
Yeah.
they don't really, they still like, they get it now, but back then they were just like, I was like, Dad, I got the job. And they were like, cool, how much does it pay? Like that's all they care about.
Right.
You know?
It wasn't even a question in your mind. You're like, wait, I didn't even talk about it.
I was like, do you not understand like how huge this is? And they don't, you know. But yeah, so that happened. I got the gig and I've been there for almost 10 years now.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. And
That's
I had
awesome.
almost given up on design. My dad sat me down and he was like, right before I got the internship, he's like, this art shit and this music shit is not working for you. It's like time for you to fucking like put your man pants on and, you know, get a real job. I was like, you're right. He's like, I'm gonna sign you up. He's like, I want you to go sign up for welding school, and then I'm gonna get you a job over here, and you're just gonna be. I was like, yeah, I'm cool with that. Like, I was just like ready to just throw in the towel, you know.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it for so long. And then I got the internship, and I was like, and I had already went to sign up for welding classes, and I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I was like, I swear I'll go to that school and do that. I was like, just give me a little bit more time. I got this internship that could maybe turn into something. I was like, this is like the once in a lifetime opportunity. He was like, all right, yeah, do your thing. And luckily it worked and I didn't have to be a fucking welder.
Hell yeah, dude. That's
Look at
crazy.
you, yeah, look at you now.
Yeah.
And I mean, congratulations on all the success so far.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I mean, what you've created so far is just amazing. I mean, you have a name brand. You have exactly what you went out to seek for. You didn't want a brand. You wanted to be an artist behind the brand and create your own, you know, image within your graphics that you're creating. And you've definitely succeeded in that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I've been amazed by your work. I followed you for some time now. I discovered you through posters, your poster art and stuff. I mean I collect art, and you know, I have the majority of the stuff I have on my walls is someone else's art, just because I love it so much. Talk to us about how you got into printmaking, because that is a very, very hard thing to do. Like, I've done posters, Cole has done posters, and it's a rare thing to where posters is the prominent product that you put out. How did you get over that? Because I know a ton of artists who have just been like, yeah, I'm sitting on all these posters right now, they won't really move. You seem to move them pretty well.
Yeah, that all came from being inspired by Shep's posters. Like, I always wanted to have a silkscreen poster, you know. And I did a few, and luckily, you know, early on, he was like, hey, how your prints doing? And I was in the same boat. I was like, they're not really moving for me. He was just like, he's like, yeah, dude. He was like, when I started, he was like, I was sitting on fucking, it would take me like a year to sell out of an edition, you know. He's like, don't sweat it though. He's like, it's just part of the whole process. And then he was just like, if you want, I could give you a shout out on Instagram to help you sell some stuff. And I was just like, oh man, like that would be amazing, you know? So he did that. And one of my prints sold out really quick after he did that. And I think that kind of like got me in the print collector like world, you know?
How long ago was that?
That was, so I've been there for almost 10 years. That was probably in 2011.
Okay, gotcha.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, so I did that. He helped me with that, and then I also did a collaboration with him, a print collab with him, which again kind of puts me in that zone, you know.
Yeah.
But but yeah, but other than that, it's just like persistence. Like I keep putting this shit out because one, like I want to be known as a graphic designer that sells posters,
Yeah.
not t-shirts, you know, or a brand. Um, and it was just like I'm just gonna keep doing it. And for me, what was helping a lot was like when I did like Complex Con and Designer Con, I would make my booth look like a art gallery. So
Mhm.
when people came, I wouldn't sell like I'd bring a couple of t-shirts, but it was just like art, you know, and I got a lot of collectors through that. It was like I'm not there to be a hyped up like fucking brand, you know. I'm there to showcase my art.
Yeah.
And people appreciated that sort of thing because it was like so different from what everybody else was doing. Like everybody's there for sneakers and t-shirts, and
Yep.
you
100%.
know, I'm doing art, you know. So again, it's always just by design, like just fucking repetition works, putting into
Yeah.
people's heads that I'm like a print person, you know. And yeah, even to this day, like, you know, my stuff doesn't sell out right away, but I keep putting it out because it sells over time, you
Yeah.
know. And for me, it's mostly it's like, you know, I still have a full-time job, so I don't depend on the income of NeverMade. So I just like I'm cool with like if I make my money back uh on a print, like I'm stoked.
Yeah.
And the rest is just butter, you know. And so yeah, it's just like I said, just by really kind of just putting it in people's heads, like my color scheme, and that I'm a poster, like not a poster designer, but you know, this is like legit.
For
And
sure.
and last year my plan was to like get into start actually making more fine art and have my first solo show, but the pandemic ruined that. So
Of course.
I'm probably not going to do that
Yeah.
until 2022 though, just because I don't want to have a social distance like art show. Like I want
Yeah.
to have like a full on like gallery, you
Yeah,
know.
because you want it to be like intimate with like, you know,
Yeah,
people coming in. You know, I know for me, I would want to embrace everybody coming in, like thank you
exactly.
for coming, doing all that stuff. Yeah, I totally understand that. Um I want
And
to talk.
sorry, and also I try to do an art component with like everything I do, like with
Mhm.
like collabs and stuff, just so again to get it in people's heads that it's just not a brand
Yeah.
collaboration, you know. Like I did that poster with Violent Gentleman with the hockey, the goalie, you know.
Your color scheme. All right, so you just did a collab with Violent Gentleman.
Mhm.
It's been a year in the making.
Yeah,
Something I found um, really interesting about the video that Violent Gentleman and yourself put out was you got to use your color scheme for this collab, which crossed into making jerseys. The jerseys look fucking amazing, by the way.
thank
Like
you.
I'm a
Yeah,
hockey
that's
fan.
fun.
I'm a newly found
Yeah,
hockey fan. The type of orange that you use is not a common one, but on this jersey looks fucking beautiful.
thank you. Appreciate that.
So tell us a little bit more about the Violent Gentleman collab.
Yeah, so that was again like forging um organic friendships and relationships with people. I met those dudes at Designer Con 2019.
Mhm.
Um, and they were super nice and like they were stoked on my work. And one of the guys that works for them, his name's Vince. We grew up playing in like hardcore bands and and like, you know, I think we played a couple shows together and stuff. Um, I saw him at a Thrice show.
Bad.
At Thrice's, like it was like the show, like the last show before the pandemic like hit. It was like in February or
Mhm.
something. I saw him there and we were like just shooting the shit. I was like, hey, I met the dudes. I met the guys at Designer Con. They're like, yeah, they told me they liked you. I was like, oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you think about a NeverMade Violent Gentleman collab? He was just like, that would be sick.
Fuck
And I was
yeah.
like, for real? He's like, yeah. He was like, I'll talk to them. And I was like, all right, dope. And they were just like super hyped on it. And yeah, dude, they gave me free reign. They let me do whatever I wanted. They let me design a jersey
Yeah.
from scratch, you know, like, and it's not a blank.
Yeah.
You know, like I got to,
so
I picked the colors, you know.
the whole thing's cut and sew, huh?
Yeah, it's sick. But yeah, they let me do the design it from scratch. They gave me a CAD, and then I just started like, you know, messing around and like designed it in there. And to see it when I saw it in person, I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if you had any advice for like the upcoming graphic designer or someone who's working right now. What would you say to them?
Like I said earlier, dude, don't worry about stop looking at people and comparing yourself to them, you know. And it's cool if you're gonna copy somebody's work, like that's fine. We all go through that phase where we kind of go through the imitation phase. You kind of have to go through that to get to find your own voice eventually. But yeah, don't copy people's work and then try to sell it. Like, that's not cool. And then and another thing is for young designers, don't get caught up in design trends. Don't get caught up in merch trends. Like everybody's like, you know, people get caught up in like the pop culture like pins where they do like mashups and stuff. And then, you know, then they can't get out of that. You're going to be known as a person that makes fan art. If you're cool with that, go 100% on it. But, you know, don't be upset when people aren't going to take anything else you do serious. Like if 100%. You're gonna like, I want to make a more of an original pin and it doesn't sell, it's just like, well, yeah, because you branded yourself as a fan art person. So don't get caught up in that shit if you really want to. Yeah, it's a quick buck. It feels good to sell something out, but in people's heads, they're gonna put you in that box and you can't get out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why for my work, I just was just like, I made sure people weren't able to put me in a box, because now I could do a mural, I could do a hat, I could do a print, and everybody would be like, well, yeah, he does all that. Like, you know, he's an artist. Like, that's his shit. You know, instead of like if I came out with NeverMade, just full on like t-shirts, is going to be like, why is this t-shirt brand trying to do a mural? Like that doesn't make
exactly
sense. It's like, what is this? Like, you know, like I made sure that NeverMade and Francisco Reyes Jr. were the two sides of the same coin. You know, it's like they're so like intertwined. Like, so yeah, it's just don't get caught up in likes, don't get caught up in followers. Yeah, like it helps, definitely, but if you're doing cool shit, you don't know who's watching you, because you will get something if you're doing something authentic and you know, to yourself.
Yeah, something that we've talked about on here is, you know, because Instagram pops up a lot. You know, people care too much about followers and care too much about likes. When you stop focusing on that stuff, it'll come organically. You know, it's you know, the more cool shit that you do, you know, you're going to make some money. That's what you should be like focused on, is, you know, paying your bills, making some money, getting your name out there. Like, I think people get so burned out when, you know, oh, this post didn't do good, or, you know, my favorite designer doesn't follow me. It's like, dude, just have a good attitude, do good work, and, you know, people will follow you, man.
Yeah, you know, that's what I did. Like, my following's been organic from the jump, you know. But those follows stopped like 2 years ago once the algorithm came in. Like, I've been stuck at like 33 to 34,000, doesn't move.
Yeah.
You know, they go. I lose followers, but yeah, it just stays there. So
Yeah.
that's
I've been
another thing
stuck in
too.
the
It's just,
4,000 mark for a while.
yeah, it's like stay. The thing I would say for younger designers is like when I came in pretty early on Instagram, like in 2010. So I was able to cultivate like a organic following. But you know, if you have a good portfolio, I would focus more on your portfolio website and stuff like
100%.
that. And you know, market some of that stuff on your Instagram, but you know, you want people to come and look at your work as a whole and not just
Yeah.
a scroll. Hey,
Yeah,
all
exactly.
right.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, no, like that's it should be the most important thing. You put all of that energy into your website. You know,
Mhm.
that you want people to have a landing page to see your work all in one focused area, not
Yeah,
Instagram where you see all that bullshit in there. It's like, you know, I don't know. I think that Instagram has become so romanticized to where it's like you're not successful until you have, you know, 100,000 followers or whatever. It's like, no,
yeah,
you're successful based off of your work.
yeah. You
But
know, what a big thing that helped me was Behance also.
yeah,
I was on that pretty early too, and I was featured on like a bunch of their like landing like opening like pages or whatever, like illustration and like graphic design and stuff. And I remember one time like I had forgot that I even had that shit,
hmm
and I logged in and I had like hundreds of thousands of like views on my work. And I was like,
damn,
what the fuck? I was like,
yeah,
how did this happen? And then I checked like my inbox. It's like, you've been featured on the graphic design thing. You've been featured on the apparel thing. You've
yeah,
been featured on, you know, I was like, oh shit. I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So
yeah. That's the one thing on the flip side of social media. Social media can be such a beautiful thing, whether it's Instagram, Behance, or whatever.
yeah,
It's, you know, it is such a useful tool for designers and artists to get featured because when you get that bite, like you get featured on like, you know, Logo Inspiration, Logo
yeah.
Hero, like all of these big pages, and it can really like, you know, that's how I found Cole. Cole got featured on all of those. He got that bite for a while, and it was just like I saw him everywhere.
I've never been featured on any of those Instagram pages.
Probably because you're
Once.
not. It's probably because you're not tagging them and like hashtagging
Yeah,
them.
yeah, you got yeah. Francisco doesn't care about that.
Yeah,
I
as
don't
you shouldn't. As you
You
shouldn't.
shouldn't.
But I
I don't
mean,
care about hashtags or
there's.
fucking.
I
Yeah,
mean, you have to give like you have to think of Instagram as like a healthy diet, a healthy relationship, right? You're gonna have to have a balance of both, especially if you're gonna go freelance full time. Like I rely, I would say 50% on Instagram to provide clients for myself. And so to be able to do that sort of like networking or try to get those sort of followers or likes is necessary in, you know, in a certain place. But you want to keep sane in your head and like not go crazy, and then you can't focus on the likes or the follows or whatever, because sometimes it's not your fault. But then we also say on the flip side, we do talk about in Pen Tool Pals where, you know, if this occurs where you're not getting that response that you're looking for over a certain period of time, then it could be a time to reflect back and think about maybe it's time to evolve some of your work or to look towards other, you know, places to enhance your abilities in graphic design in whatever way possible, right?
Yeah.
So, but never rely on it solely, because then it would just drive you nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think people just get caught up in that shit.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
But it's like, and then I know some people will be like, well, it's easy to say that when you have 34,000 followers.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, but it's just like, yeah, but guess what? Only like 2% of those people are actually seeing my post.
It's not uncommon in our industry to be hit up about doing work for trade or exposure. What's the craziest interaction with someone who wanted you to work with them? What's a funny story
I
that you
ignore
have?
all that shit. I ignore it. I ignore it.
You ignore it.
Yeah, like
I
I'm just
I ignore things from here and there, but there's some wild times where people hit me up from my town, and they're like, "Hey man, you know, we want to work with you, and what are your rates?" And I tell them what my pricing is, and they'll go like, "Oh well, you know, would you want to do a trade or something like that?"
yeah. I'll do a trade when it's like when the person's got something worth trading for, you
Yeah, of
know.
course.
But yeah, dude, it's just the amount of people that hit me up for collabs and
Oh, I could imagine.
fucking you know, and I'm just like, dude, I'm still fucking trying to get my shit up, like, you know, like, and you know, regardless of like the perception that people have of me and you know the amount of uh things that I've done in my career, like I don't see myself in that light. I'm still on the grind too, you
Yeah.
know, like I'm trying to get, you know, as many partnerships with or work with people that I'm really into, you know, and like um I'm not I don't think I'm in a position, at least in my own eyes, like to be like, yeah, like I'll like, you know, like
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
it's weird. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've gotten hit up by like influencers or like, yo, can you send me a box? I'll tag you in it. And I'm just
Yeah,
like,
okay.
fuck off,
Yeah,
dude. Like,
exactly.
I'm like,
I had this one guy ask me to do some work for him. He wanted to do a trade, and I was like, "All right, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, well, me and my wife, we own a karaoke business. You know, we could do karaoke at one of your events." And I'm like, "We're in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. Do you really think I'm doing? Do you really think I want to do karaoke at a party right now?" But
that's
I
hilarious.
know, dude. I didn't even know what to say to him.
Like another thing is just like I avoid, and it's just like kind of like embarrassing almost to avoid, where it's just like when people hit you up, they're like, yo, what's up? I need a logo. Like, how much do you charge? And I'm just like, and this is not even like shade or anything like that. I'm like, man, I don't even want to get into it because I'd be like, fuck, you charge way too much or
Yep.
something like that. It's just like I'll ignore it too. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like, nah.
I'll
And I even
get the whole, oh, my homie can do it for this. And I've
like
said
hit
this,
up your
like,
fucking
dude,
homie.
that's what exactly what I say. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You go to your
Yeah.
homie then. Like, why are you in my face?
Yeah, dude. Oh, it's so annoying.
Mhm.
And it's just like, and usually it's people that don't really understand the value that comes from having like a professional
Yeah.
do their work.
Yeah, of course.
So like my buddy Ben has a brand called a shop called World Famous Originals, and
Mhm.
he has a this Rizo print that says "Don't say damn when you hear the price."
Yeah.
I was like, "Fuck, man, I gotta buy that," because
Yeah,
it's
no
so
shit.
true. Like, you know, and it's sometimes like it's like you get just like Joe Schmo that has no idea what they're asking for, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but and then when they hear prices, they're just like, "What the fuck?" It's just
Yeah.
like you asked.
People don't care as much as we do. And even on like a business level, you know, when people own a successful clothing brand or a successful brand, they understand the importance of artwork and
Yeah,
design. But these little young kids who are like, I'm gonna have the fucking dopest clothing brand, you know, fucking big time. You realize, little fucking Joe Bob, your dope ass clothing brand is nothing without the designer.
yeah, dude.
Like,
Okay, so
like,
I try to tell the story as much as I can because this shit is hilarious. So I was at this party, this random, like my buddy had a barbecue
mhm,
that kind of went on late in the night. It kind of turned into a little bit of like a party, but it was more like a kickback, you know.
okay.
Uh and there was this guy there. He was like all swagged out and shit. And this was probably like 6 years ago. And and his homie was my friend, and he was just like, "Oh, I heard you have a clothing brand." I was like, "Yeah, something like that." He's just like, "Oh, that's tight." He's like, "I'm starting a clothing line. It's gonna be the biggest shit ever." I was like, "Oh yeah,
There
that's
it is,
cool."
buddy.
I was like, "That's dope." I was like, "What's it called?" He's like, "I'm gonna call it Lavish Lifestyle." And I was like, "Bruh." I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What kind of car do you drive?" He was like a Honda or whatever. I was like, "Do you still live at home with your parents?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "What kind of fucking lavish lifestyle you living here, brother?" Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You got to be authentic.
Yeah,
Like, he's like,
exactly.
"But like, check out my chain. This is a Ben Baller chain." And it was this. His Ben Baller piece was like one of like their throwaway pieces. I would say, like, it was this small, and it had like the Ben Baller logo on the back. He's like, "Look, I got a Ben Baller piece."
That's cool.
I'm like, "Sick, dude."
How long did you save for that?
Right? And I was just like, if you're not living a lavish lifestyle, don't call your brand lavish lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
But this was like 2010 snapback era. You know what I'm talking about? Like that fuckboy like era. So like I've done jobs where like at this point, like my rate is like pretty high, like because I've gotten paid like really well with certain like jobs. I'm just like, I'm not I'm not working for anything less than X amount,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like, and I don't mean to like sound like a dick or like a
No.
pretentious like asshole, but like if the dude that's hitting me up is like, "Hey, can I get a logo? How much?" I'm like low key in my head, I'm like, I don't think you're gonna want to hear what I charge.
I deal with that all of the time, where it's just like I'm quick to the draw with, like, I'll hear their idea, but if I know it's going to be a nightmare, I'll just pull the trigger real quick on my pricing, and I'll just get them out of the way.
Yep.
I already know the answer.
Sometimes that shit backfires.
Oh, I know.
I've done that.
Then they go for the price, and you're like,
"How much you charge?" I'm like on the low end, I'll be like, "Oh, like for a t-shirt graphic or something." They're like, "How much you charge?" I was like, $1,000. They're like, "Okay." I'm like, "Fuck."
Damn it. Yeah.
Like, I did not want to do this.
Yeah.
I was just like, I thought this would scare them away or something.
Right.
And it's just like, for people out there like thinking like, "Oh, these fools sound like ungrateful or whatever."
Well, yeah, I gotta say, I mean, our whole podcast is a friendly graphic design podcast, so there might be parts of what we say here that doesn't necessarily fit the friendliness of it all, which is fine. But
yeah, it's just like, I'm just keeping it real. Like,
absolutely. No, and that's all we want here.
Yeah,
like, people are so fake these days, and people got to understand that, people got to hear some of this stuff, like, especially coming from like, people that have been doing it for a while. Like, maybe they'll hear this and they'll probably be like, "Oh, these guys are ungrateful, they're getting work and blah, blah, blah." But it's just like, no, like, this is probably like, you should take this as a warning to
100%.
like really like, make sure you pick your clients, like make a smart decision, because sometimes working with certain people, like, it's just a fucking nightmare, and you want to just throw in the towel.
Anybody who listens to this, I guarantee you will take a lot of
I don't want people to think I'm a dick or
no. If anything, like, you need to hear this. Like, the whole reason, like, I love doing this podcast, one is talking to other designers, but is I needed to hear this shit 10 years ago when I started.
Exactly.
Because when I started, I thought, once I got into the Photoshop game and stuff like that, and Illustrator, I thought it was hot shit, and I went into it way too cocky. There wasn't very many other designers in my town, and that's what my bubble was my town. And so, I've learned very, very quickly, one, check your fucking ego, because if you want to do anything in this industry, you got to be You have to have a good personality.
Yeah.
You have to, people, you're only going to get further in this industry if people like you. And, it's like,
100%.
one, have good work, be able to, talk to people, communicate well, and don't be a dick. You're not better than anybody else. Like, there's always going to be someone better than you.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
and that's why, we want it to be real on this thing, man. Like, if you think we're dicks because, we're complaining about the people we work with, well, this isn't the industry for you, bud.
Yeah, for sure. It's like if you hate your boss at your day job, like think about it like this. When you're a freelancer or if you're doing freelance work, you have like 4 bosses that you're fucking, 4 different jobs is 4 different bosses that you're just kind of like, they could be a pain in the ass because they don't understand what it is exactly that we do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get a client that's like, well, I don't know what I want until I see what I want. And it's just like, hell nah.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's the worst. Like, I did some shit and I used the analogy. I was like, bro, it's like you just asked me to dig a hole and you were just like, I don't like that hole. Go dig another one.
Yeah.
So I go dig another one for you. And then I'm fucking digging all these holes and doing the work because you're not sure of what you want.
Yep.
Like, when I said that, I was just like, oh, that's like pretty good analogy actually.
Yeah.
Like, it's like labor that you're doing.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
they don't see it that way,
No.
It's like, look at it this way. Like, you asked me to dig a hole. You didn't like that hole. You told me to dig another one. I dig that one. You didn't like that one either. Like,
yeah.
it's
I always put it this way to where it's like, what if you went to your job and they just decided not to pay you for a day's work?
yeah.
And, would you like that? And
Yeah.
so usually when I'll do some work, I when people have me, flying blind, like, I don't know what I want. Like, I trust you, do your thing. I'm just like, okay. And
Red
like,
flag.
one, no, like,
Yeah.
you fucking come back to me, write shit down. But if you want me to do fly blind on anything, whatever I land on and I show you and you want any revisions or you want something new, well, you're paying more.
Yeah. For sure.
That's it. That's done.
Yeah. And this is why I don't freelance anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Like,
yeah, maybe that's
like
good,
I used to freelance, like, even though I have a day job, I was just like, cool, this is like some cool side dough, but I don't do that shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like, at all. Like, only again if it's like, I get hit up to do like the project I did with the Chargers and Pepsi.
Yeah.
Like, they wanted an LA based artist to do, that the piece that I did, like stuff like that. Like, when big stuff comes my way, I'm like, oh yeah, 100%, because I know they have a budget and I know it's gonna be good. And
Yeah, totally.
and they're coming to me because they already know that what I do, and they're just like, do you, and I'm blessed to be in that sort of position,
For sure, man.
I really want to appreciate and say thank you to you, Francisco. Thanks so much for coming on the show and joining us, talking shop and a bit of your experience in the industry. I mean, everyone watching, go follow NeverMade if you don't already.
Yeah.
If you know a story, now you got blessed by the knowledge.
Hell yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys. It was my pleasure.
For sure. Francisco, if there's anything you'd like to say to end this thing, go feel free. But dude, seriously, thank you so much for coming on, man. I've been such a fan of your work for so long, and it's been really cool getting to like chat, just make little jokes here and there through Instagram and stuff like that, shooting the shit with you on there. Yeah. Now that you're on, you're a friend, you're a pal, and yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. Hell yeah, pen tool pal. I won't copy your tattoo, but now I have it in my brain. Like, I got to get something.
You got to represent.
Hell yeah.
Cool, man. No, well, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it. And to all the listeners and viewers, I hope you guys take something away from this and actually learned a thing or two about a thing or two. So
yeah,
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Cool. And
Thanks for being a pal.
yeah, thank you for being a pal, Francisco. To everyone watching, be sure to share this episode, like, subscribe, hit us up on YouTube as well. Show that you're a pal of the pod and all that stuff.
Sweet.
All right. Thank you
That's a
for
wrap.
being a pal.